All right, sports fans, welcome back to another episode of Pez's Picks. I'm Jeff Hartman, joined by the man with the picks, Pez. Before we get to that, let's talk about if you're watching this on YouTube, like the video, subscribe to the Fans First Sports Network channel. We do appreciate it, so you get all the latest news and notes on the world of sports. And also, if you're listening to this in audio form, whether it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts, all we ask you subscribe, follow, costs nothing, but you're going to get everything is related to Pez's picks himself. So with that out of the way, Pez, the man with the picks, what's up, man? How's it going?
Living the dream, Jeff. You know, August, summer, we're coming down the wire for NFL here. We were talking off the drama's building with
Yep.
Ayuk and Steelers, and you know, I love the hard knocks this summer, Jeff. We had some insight to the Giants kind of management with the off season and the draft, and giving the Eagles Saquon, and I think that was probably the right decision for that team. They got a lot of players for it, but I still think they stink, Jeff. And now we're into the Bears. So I'm an episode in, and I I don't know if that quarterback's going to be that quarterback, Jeff. I don't know. I'm not sure. I like his demeanor, Jeff. He seems a little California fishy to me. I don't know. I got, he I hate when people are anointed stars because they were the first pick. I went through this for about a decade with Ben Simmons and with the Philadelphia 76ers. And, when you tell a guy he's the savior before he's throwing the ball, I saw it with Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't think mentally that's good, Jeff. It's a new NFL. A lot of times the first pick in the draft didn't come out of the season starting, and had to watch at least a handful of games, and it's going to be an interesting season to watch. We might have 3 or 4 rookies starting game one. So
Yeah.
as a handicapper, to us, that's blood in the water as Sharks, Jeff. Rookies starting in the NFL get destroyed usually. C.J. Stroud, notwithstanding. I mean, that guy was he was a unicorn. He was a white buffalo, that guy. So a lot we're going to be punching the numbers over the next couple of weeks and read between the lines and getting as much video and data we can on these guys. A lot of these teams, if I ever owned a team, Jeff, I would never let that hard knocks into my team. Who would do that? I don't know if they have a choice or not, Jeff, but who's
No.
letting behind the scenes? I mean, it's a nightmare for these guys. The coaches must detest this.
Well, what's interesting about Hard Knocks, since we're on the topic, is for a lot of these teams, they don't have a choice. They don't get to choose whether they're on Hard Knocks, and there is criteria for the training camp Hard Knocks. Like, for instance, if you make the playoffs the year prior, you're not eligible. If you have a first year coach, you're not eligible. So it does kind of narrow it down. But then HBO and the NFL say, "Hey, Chicago, you guys have Hard Knocks," just like the in-season Hard Knocks this year is the AFC North, all 4 teams, the last 6 weeks of the regular season. So that's going to be interesting. You're talking crunch time. You're getting ready for the playoffs. That was the most competitive division in all of football last year. But it is very entertaining. I'm not going to lie.
It's awesome, and for gambling, and if you're a fantasy player, I mean, you can get a lot of information from these things,
Yeah.
and that, as sports people and as gamblers, there's a lot you can take, not even from play, from mental kind of aspect, from chemistry. When I see a quarterback and a coach not getting along, you bet against that team, Jeff. Or when a quarterback and his receivers aren't jiving, I mean, that's poison in the NFL. So, I think going into the season, you want a New England Patriots, no drama, no information. Brady and Belichick run the team. And when you don't have that in the NFL, it generally spells doom. I mean, it spells
Yeah.
trouble.
Yeah, and so since we're on the topic of the NFL, let's go ahead. We're still continuing our NFL future plays, and that's something that you've been doing on your Instagram feed and on Twitter at Pez's Picks. You can check him out there. Most recently, you started diving into the division I care a lot about, the AFC North. You did the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah. What was the win total for them again? Was it 11, 11 and a
So
half?
it's 10.5, Jeff.
10 and a
And,
half.
we've got them. And I hate to say it on the black and yellow, feed we have going here with your flag behind you, but we've got them 11 to 13 wins. I mean, kind of easy, Jeff. Their schedule, you look at it, there are a lot of manageable games. I think the Browns could be in some trouble with Deshaun. He's saying some crazy things. I'm not a big fan of the Bengals, Jeff. Cockroaches of Dallas. I think with Derrick Henry, as long as Derrick Henry is 75% of the guy he was the last few years, I think that's a dynamic that's going to be really difficult for the league to stop. And, Lamar is a fantastic quarterback who has struggled in the playoffs, right? And that's kind of his trade book. And, if this was January, February, we're talking about playoff game. I don't know if we're that heavy on Lamar, but healthy, that guy, he's a tough quarterback to prepare for in a regular season game. And, I like the guy a lot, and I like the team. I like the coaching. I mean, they are sound on all sides of the ball, including special teams, right, Jeff? I mean, the best kicker ever, and that's important in this league. People minimize the kicking position, but when you have a guy hitting, what's that guy hit? Like 95% of his kicks or something. The guy's insane.
Yeah.
So I love that team covering and winning, and we're all over them right now. And I hate to say it, Jeff, but the Steelers. I read an article. Maybe Fields is leading right now. Maybe he's starting. I mean, that's the word out of camp. The other guy's banged up. He's got a bum ankle or something. What's going on there, Jeff?
It's
What's
Russell
going on?
Wilson. It's not just another guy. It's Russell Wilson,
Well,
a Super Bowl winning quarterback. That's something Jalen Hurts can't say. But anyways, I'm sorry.
That's true. That's true. Well, what was that? Like, I think I was in high school, Jeff. Was that 20 years ago that guy won? I can't believe they picked up, an undersized, out of shape, kind of head case, that guy. I mean, Russell had one good year. I haven't been big on that guy, Jeff, Russell Wilson. He's hiding in Seattle his whole life, and I respect Manning and I respect his coaching ability. So I think they dumped that guy off because he's done.
Maybe.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if the Steelers, if this is true and Fields is playing that well, if he's not there game one, Jeff. I wouldn't be shocked if a team.
I would be shocked game one. If he starts week one, I would be shocked if Justin Fields starts week one. If Justin Fields is starter by week 18, not as shocked.
You're kind of putting the season in jeopardy when you're putting two QB1s on your bench in week one. And, I think Atlanta's got this same issue right now if the Rook is that good. And, teams with two quarterbacks that both think they're the starters, that doesn't bode well for the season. It just does not. And maybe the Steelers could get something for Russell. I mean, maybe we'll wrap something up with Ayuk. I don't know. Maybe Wilson's better than Purdy, Jeff. I don't know. Who knows? I mean, there's a lot to look at here. But as gamblers, we love quarterback controversy, Jeff. Quarterback controversy spells doom. It spells the heart of the team. Usually quarterbacks have some guys in the locker room lined up behind them and other guys lined up behind them. When the backup has more guys lined up behind them, that's doomsday for that quarterback, and there's whispering, and these are grown men, Jeff, multimillionaires. They talk. It's not like high school where a guy walks by the starting quarterback and tells him he sucks. They get benched. Guys probably do way worse, Jeff. I've read about the Philadelphia Eagles. They have fights on elevators and stuff sometimes. So we'll be watching that closely. And, there's probably no more dramatic quarterback controversy in the league than the Steelers right now. It's fantastic, Jeff. It's fantastic. And I love the Steelers. I'm a big fan.
As a content creator that covers the Steelers, I love it too, because it always is something to discuss and talk about. We'll see how it works out in the preseason, but let's go back to the Ravens for a second. You brought up the schedule. I don't think their schedule is as easy as you make it out to be. I mean, you have the AFC North divisional games. And again, last year, the AFC North had 4 teams with a winning record, 3 teams represented in the playoffs in 2023. The only division that can say that, by the way. They also have a first place schedule as the winner of the division. So now you're talking about they're having to play all the division winners. So I believe they're going to have to play the Chiefs in week 1 on Thursday Night Football. That's the kickoff game. They're going to have to play. I think the Buffalo Bills ended up winning the AFC East last year. They're going to have to play some tough teams. It's not going to be easy. And that even includes, did the Dallas Cowboys win the NFC East last year officially?
They did.
So they're going to have to play Dallas.
So if we look at these first games, Chiefs, Jeff, we have that penciled in as a Ravens win. And then some of these totals come down to one win. It's always close. I mean, you occasionally get a Detroit Lions who blow things off. But I like the Ravens. They have more to prove in that game. I mean, Kansas City even kind of showed it last year. They kind of lollygagged through the regular season, right? And then that team turned on, magic like they do. I'm giving them a win week 1. Week 2, we've got the Raiders. Right now, Baltimore's laying 8.5. So, that's 2-0 for us. Cockroaches week 3. We've got them laying 2 to the Cockroaches. I hate the Cockroaches, so that's 3-0 for us. At home against the Bills, they're laying 3 already. So, and then we have the Bengals week 5. They might even be getting a point or two. So if they can go 4-1 in those first 5, I mean, we're well on our way, Jeff. Because then we got Commanders, we got the Buccaneers, we got the Browns, we got the Broncos, we got the Bengals again. I don't think the Chargers are going to be too hot, Jeff. When you have an injured quarterback in preseason and you're installing a new offense with a new head coach and coordinator, I mean that's disaster, right? That guy hasn't looked great out there, and I hear his I think it's a Liz Frank or he's got
it's not
he's got a foot injury, right? And
sure.
I remember being a little kid and Phil Simms sat out of the Super Bowl with a similar kind of foot injury. That I've always been told you're better off breaking a bone in your foot than kind of like a sprain or a tendon injury. So if you can't push off your foot as quarterback, we're talking interceptions, Jeff. And I was watching the Phils last night. One of the pitchers got hurt, hammy. Balls go high. I teach my son all the time. High balls get picked off, or guys get killed in the NFL. So, then we have the Giants. Then we've got the Browns again. And I think they're going to be 12-13 wins, Jeff. But these season total bets, why they're risky. You get a major player injured week 1 or 2, forget about it. It's done. That's the risk of playing these matchups. I have guys that play a lot of them. They put a marginal amount on their bets. They put a smaller amount, and I have a couple guys that pick 3 or 4 and they go big time. And that tends to be negative betting, we call it, where they're betting against the team to get to that total. They're betting that the quarterback's going to have a rotten year. A lot of this comes down to coaching too, Jeff. I've got guys that base these season total bets on coaches they think suck. So I think Dallas is a good situation there. I do not like that coach. I think he knows he's toast, right? If this is his Super Bowl, he doesn't have a good season, gone. And I think in Denver we have that situation a little bit too. Probably Philadelphia as well. I mean, Sirianni, the pressure's on. It appears management has sided with Jalen Hurts and blamed Sirianni for that collapse. And they signed Jalen a lot more years than Sirianni. So pressure, of course. But quarterback, I mean, that's really always we look for. And Lamar has stunning success in regular season numbers as a quarterback. One of the best in a long time, Jeff. I mean, that guy, he can do so much. And in the regular season, you've got a different pace to the game. When you have a running quarterback that can hurl that ball like that, I mean, that wears defenses down. So I think week 1, Kansas City, we're leaning Baltimore. I mean, for the season total, we're chalking it up as a win already.
So that number is at 10. Is that what you said?
For 10 and a half.
10.5. That number is set there for a reason. I wonder if they're wondering, because if you look at the history of Lamar Jackson's career, the number of times he played a full regular season, not very many. And when he's out, Tyler Huntley was the guy that would come in and kind of keep him afloat. They don't have him anymore. They don't have that backup. That's very similar. They have a mobile backup. I think it's Johnson or something of that. I'm not sure the exact name, but still, Lamar Jackson's health is going to make or break this bet. If he gets hurt, then just tank it. It's not going to hit, in my opinion.
17 games, you could miss a week or 2 probably. I mean, maybe 3. You pick up a win or 2. I mean, Vegas agrees with you to take the over. I mean, taking the over, you're minus money. So Vegas disagrees with you a little bit, but it's about even, Jeff. If you take the under, you're even money. If you take the over, you're minus 125. That's probably based on gambling too. It's probably an even bet when it first came out. And I hate to say this, Jeff, but Kansas City, we're starting to lead. Mahomes he's got to get banged up at some point, right? I mean, this guy. What has it ever happened? I mean, he gets hurt. He plays better, right? What did
he just keeps playing through it? Yeah,
calf or Achilles, whatever the hell that was, he was better. So statistically, every quarterback is going to get hurt, and that is doomsday. So I think Kansas City, they got to fall off a little bit at some point. And you got my man Kelsey. He can't be running around with Taylor Swift like this for the whole world, Jeff. That's got to come back to haunt him in this league. You can't get that much attention in the NFL. That guy's he's actually part of the performance now, Jeff. What is going on? My wife showed me he was out there dancing in tuxedo in England. I'm like, what? So I think a little bit. I don't know. I lean a little bit Kansas City. It could have a little bit of a down year, Jeff, and that's saying a lot. And Vegas has them right now, 11.5 wins. To take the over, you're at minus money. To take the under, you're at minus money. So I think Vegas doesn't want you playing them. I mean, Kelsey goes down or Mahomes goes down. I think they're in some trouble. And I
Yeah.
like Pacheco, but tough when you don't have a grinding running back to lean on. And I think Travis Henry, you figure Baltimore, they get a lead now. They're going to give that bear that ball. That guy kills defenses, right? And then you occasionally have a little bit of a dink from Lamar. I think that's what San Francisco was hoping Purdy would be, where they could sit back, pound the ball, have him hit some accurate passes, which you can. But I don't think Lamar and Purdy. I mean, we saw what happened in the regular season last year. No
Yeah.
comparison for me there. So, a lot of thinking going into these things.
Okay, let's shift our gears a little bit and let's go to Major League Baseball. It's getting down to crunch time. We're getting into that stretch run here in the mid part of August, getting ready to gear into October and it's or September, I should say. And so it's interesting to see where things go post All-Star break. Now we're 5-5 post All-Star break. Not anything we're really going to hang our hat on, but what do we always say on Pez's picks? Anything above 500 is good. It's gold. So we're right at the level line. What's your take on baseball moving forward?
So, Jeff, we were talking this time of season, you got to be careful for landmine explosions where you're taking heavy favorites. I believe the Yankees today are a minus 350, to a minus 340 right now. I have on one of the books, and that's 3.5 of your bets lined up on one game. I was talking about it with my old colleagues. I mean, you could have a month of winning blown away with one big favorite loss. So what we're trying to do now are find data-based advantage games where we have a dominant pitcher, including a team who's got dominant hitting numbers, and they're even or getting money. I mean, we lost a tough one with Philadelphia at Seattle. Seattle, 29th hitting team in the league, Jeff. They're batting 218. Pitching is not great. I don't know how they win any game. So I think by the end of the season, teams that are hitting under 230, pitching where they don't have dominant ace 1, 2, 3 guys, that they're going to start losing some games. And this is kind of the season where you really have to punch your numbers, but you got to be careful. Today we're taking our man Scooball. He's currently getting money today, which I love. Anytime you're getting money in these bets, it's almost kind of a relief play because you're actually putting a play in without paying any juice, and if you win, you're getting free money. He's plus 116 at Seattle. Seattle, very difficult place to play. I've been in Seattle a few times. The air is different out there, Jeff. It's cold year round. They get some rain. They barely get sun. The ball is a little kind of damp or heavy. I think that hurt the Phillies a little bit. But that Detroit Scooball had his worst outing. The guy got rocked last game. And, I think after the All-Star break, there's a little bit of an exhale for some guys that were stars going into it. Trade rumors for that guy didn't get traded. So I think they're here to finish the season strong the next 4 or 5 weeks. And today we're going to ride him big, plus 116 Scooball. We'll be putting that video out later on Instagram. So we're recording today. This will come out tomorrow. So
Yeah.
So we're predicting the future here, Jeff. Scooball, big win tonight. Yankees coming on, Boston coming on, and next couple of weeks we'll start putting out some division winners too, and see what happens. But you got to be careful. You got to start transferring a little bit to NFL. But then we come postseason. Postseason baseball gambling is the best, Jeff. It's fantastic. They do it right. They get games going on at lunchtime. Nothing better than a lunchtime September, October baseball bet, Jeff. It's fantastic.
So are you leaning any way? Like you talk about individual pitching matchups and game to game stuff, but are you looking at any teams and you're saying, I could see this team is really starting to get it together. They're starting to make a push, whether it's to the wild card or for a division race. Have any teams caught your eye?
So the Mets are a team we're watching, Jeff. They've got some really good numbers. The Brewers and the Cardinals are pounding the ball. It's been tough for the Pirates. I think the Pirates are in a really tough division. I don't think they're a bad team. Even the Reds and the Cubs. That's a tough division where you got almost every team about 500. I'm not sold on the Diamondbacks. I'm not sold on the Dodgers even, Jeff. And for the National League, I think the Phillies, as long as Bryce Harper is hitting, far and away the best team. And I don't think anyone even comes close to their pitching and their hitting ability. When we get in that American League, I mean, you've got the Yankees, Orioles, Red Sox, very difficult. I'm not big on the Guardians, Jeff. I think they're a little bit of a mirage. Minnesota, not bad. I think Detroit, they just don't have any bats. So, and then we get into that West. I don't like Seattle. I think we could see the Astros really, really come on. And Seattle's been hot. When we look at their last 10, they're 6-4. I think Seattle we could see drop out. Right now, they're positioned for. I'd be shocked if they make the playoffs even, Jeff. I could see a big collapse with that team coming. Having said that, somebody's got to make the playoffs in all these divisions. So I think their best teams in the American League, Yankees, Orioles, Red Sox. I don't think anybody in any of those other divisions have anything to even hold on them. So it's going to be a competitive end. And, you got to win your division. You got to get home field advantage. So they're going to be letting it all out. And, you got to look for teams with motivation. Going to be tough for the Toronto Blue Jays, for the Chicago White Sox, but it's tough to find a manageable line on those teams too. You don't want to be laying 3-4 to 1 money. I mean, that's a little bit too much. Of course I have, Jeff. And I was talking, my man, Action Man. I can remember summers we'd look at each other and, Roger Clemens minus 1,200 against, the Devil Rays or against whoever. We're like, yeah, let's get on it. But I'm not a young man anymore, Jeff. That type of stress, where you're up 1-0 going in the ninth and you got $1,200 to win $100 laying. I mean, that's too much to suggest as a smart play, Jeff. I don't think that's a good investment. But we'll be looking for that, and you can kind of sense when teams really hang it up. And I think Chicago, the White Sox hung it up about a month and a half ago. So tough to find lines on them that are manageable, and then you kind of feel yourself looking for something too easy, and there ain't nothing easy in that baseball, Jeff. I mean, we talked about it. You can have a 218 batting average team with a pitcher who's got a 4.5 ERA, and they come up and they win 8-0, right? I mean, that just happens. And I explained it to my wife and my kid a lot. You could hit 3 out of 10 at bats and be in the Hall of Fame. So that means you could 7 times go up and strike out, and you could still be in the Hall of Fame. And that you kind of manage what are the teams doing when they're coming in. I think Harper is due for a big push to end the season. When he's not hitting, that team's not very good. So I think he's starting to come around. And if that happens, I think the Phillies start to push to the top here and going into the postseason hot.
All right. Let's finish up with some Olympics talk. Obviously, we're not going to be talking about things like, I don't know, table tennis or badminton or anything like that. But there was some exciting sport that is more mainstream sport, whether you're talking about the Joker winning in tennis, the gold medal, or whether you're talking about golf, Scotty Scheffler's incredible surge on the back nine to shoot, I think, a 62, a course record there in France in the La Nationale golf course. Just remarkable. People want to talk about John Rahman. I know you're going to bring him up. His collapse. I will say Scotty Scheffler's surge was almost as impressive as the collapse was depressing.
I mean, it's a regular conversation with Scotty Scheffler. He's the best in the world. I mean, he might be the best we've seen since Tiger when he had that ability. I think Scheffler is what we thought Rory McIlroy was going to be, 12, 13 years ago. And, that did not pan out. Scheffler has that eye that Tiger had, that they don't give a damn when they have a bad shot. They don't give a damn when they're behind. I like golfers that don't, celebrate negative things, right? I hate when I see Rory McIlroy grimace and pout, walks like a loser after a bad shot. Scheffler looks like Dustin Johnson had this about him for a couple of years. They used to talk how that guy walked the course like he was a gunslinger going to a standoff or something.
Mm-hmm.
Scheffler looks like he's going to kick everyone's ass on that course, and that guy's dialed in. Xander had that a little bit, but I don't think it's any surprise that Scheffler is winning. We talked about Rob. I told you I read an article. They said that's it. He's done. I mean, this has never happened to him. He looked like a guy that was playing 1 day short, like a lot of these live guys, because they're playing 3-day tournaments, and looked a little puffier, Jeff, Rob, and these guys are sitting on $100 to $400 million, and I think it's broken golf in that way, and Scheffler smells that, right? He knows when you see a guy put a couple bogeys, this is it. Scheffler's these top guys, and you know it as a golfer, Jeff. When they're generally playing, they're putting the ball in positions not to put bogey or put big numbers up, but when they need to, a Scheffler, even a Rob, man, any of these top guys, they're not pin hunting unless they're behind. Because
Yeah.
pin hunting, you're putting the ball at risk, but when they have to, good God, I mean that guy's aiming at every pin, and he's like, well, what do I have to lose? I'm behind anyway. When you have a top 10, top 20 guy that's pin hunting, or a top 5 guy, really, good luck, and that I think the live guys are. I'm not going to be picking a live guy in a major tournament until something changes, Jeff. I think those guys are toast. I don't think they have the pressure. I think mentally they're not looking at it the same. Where I think some of these dudes, Scheffler, Schauffele, even Rory in a way, they're looking to prove something that we didn't sell out, and then I think of Justin Thomas and a Jordan Spieth, maybe Fowler, are like, what the hell? I guess I should have taken that money. Nobody hates these guys anymore. So there's a lot of mental going into this golf gambling right now.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, Scotty Scheffler at the Olympics before all the rounds started was plus 350. And I'm again saying he's the odds-on favorite. Xander was plus 550. I still like
Pretty good
Scotty
money.
Scheffler. I still like Scotty Scheffler plus 350. It's boring because he is the odds-on favorite. And you could have gone with Rahm at plus 900, and he looked like he was going to win you a lot of money until that collapse. It was crazy. I saw the betting lines on Sunday, final round, of what Scotty Scheffler had going into his odds to win going into the back nine. It was a plus 1600. Then he birdies, and it goes down to like plus 900. Birdies again, 750, and it just keeps going until he's on 18, and he just needs to par it to put the pressure on Fleetwood because Rahm had already fallen off the face of the earth. And it was like he was back to like plus 300 at that point. I mean, it was insane.
And I wonder when they're going to adjust for this, right? I mean, Tiger Woods, I mean, you might have been taking negative money when he was playing the Bridgestone or playing Torrey Pines. You might have been laying 200 to win 100. I think that's going to have to happen for the PGA. And we'll be seeing with the playoffs coming up. I haven't looked at his numbers yet, but he's got to be the odds-on favorite to win this thing. I mean, how could he not be, right? I mean, they're playing for what, $20 million annuity, I think, now
it's a lot.
A 5-week period, right?
It's a lot.
Good for them.
Yeah.
We do have a couple bonus kind of looks here, Jeff, regarding the NFL. So you can bet season leaders. This is something we've been looking at. Right now, quarterback situation. Patrick Mahomes is plus 650 to lead the regular season passing yards total, AFC and NFC. You've got Stroud plus 750. Tua plus 900. I'm selling that, Jeff. Dak plus 900. Burrow plus 1,000. So I think right now, CJ Stroud, that could be a really, really good number, Jeff. And I don't expect Houston to win as many games. And having said that, I think that means the quarterback's going to have to air the ball out more. So I think Stroud, and they've beefed up his weapons around him. I think him at plus 750 right now is a strong, strong investment for season-leading regular season passing yards quarterback. I love that play. I don't see why not, unless, and of course, injury is going to kill that. But I think Houston, better offense. I think defense still a little bit iffy, and they could be behind a lot, which they're going to air that ball out. That guy's got nothing to lose now, right? I mean, he's going to be throwing that ball that he's getting anointed as the next Mahomes. So I love that play. Stroud plus 750. Rushing leaders for the season. We've got McCaffrey 750, Jonathan Taylor 750, Derrick Henry 850. Jeff, I love this play. Saquon Barkley plus 1,000 right now to be the regular season rushing yards leader. I love this play, Jeff. I don't know. Maybe I love it too much. I'm wearing my Birds cap, but that team, I think, is going to try to take pressure off of Jalen, and they're going to force teams to fill the box, to block a Saquon, and to stop him running up the middle. And I think that there's too much to manage on that offense right now. I love Saquon at plus 1,000. Talk about a guy that's got something to prove. Totally disrespected in New York, and the whole country saw it, Jeff. The whole country saw them just throw that guy away. They saw the pathetic calls to him, trying to lowball him, and I think Saquon comes into this season You know, we might see that Saquon that we saw the first year or two out of Penn State before the injuries happened. And I love plus 1,000, Jeff. That's $10 to win 100. Fantastic. 50 to win 500. I love it, Jeff. And the wife and I are checking back into Atlantic City tonight, Jeff, for the weekend. We've got, if you gamble a lot, Jeff, at the casino, and I don't do that anymore, but these days, Jeff, there's so much competition to get people physically in casinos. You get free rooms like it's nothing, Jeff. In my day as a poker player, you had to be there 12 hours a day, and you had to be playing high stakes tables to get free rooms. We've got friends now. They go play the slots for an hour. They get a free room on a weekend, Jeff, which is unheard of. A weekend free room in Atlantic City 20 years ago. You had to bribe the concierge, or we called them hosts in those days. You had to give them something, Jeff, and usually it was illegal. So now they're getting calls to come. So we've got some rooms at the Hard Rock, and I think the Hard Rock, they're a little worried about our video we put out about getting rid of their poker room. I'm going to be meeting with some of them, Jeff, and trying to get that poker room back. It's absurd that the Taj Mahal, now the Hard Rock, got rid of the greatest poker room in history, featured on the movie Rounders. I was there one night, and there was a shooting in a penthouse suite upstairs, Jeff, that bled into the lobby. They never stopped dealing, Jeff. I didn't know what was going on. We were looking around. I didn't hear the gunshots, but the next day, my mom calls me, Jeff. She knows I was a poker player. She said, "Were you there, listen?" I was like, "Yeah." She was, because there was a shooting. I'm like, "No, nobody stopped dealing." The greatest poker room ever, Jeff, like the Wild West. And now I don't know what that's, some freaking theater with, I don't know, some Cirque du Soleil or something. So we're going to try to work that out. But these season bets, we're going to be putting some of those in and having that put out on Instagram as well.
All right. Well, when you cover the Steelers, which will probably be before our next recording, I might have some choice words for you on the next podcast.
We're to really look at that, Jeff. And I hate betting against the Steelers. I talk about it with Coach KT Smith, who I know was in Pittsburgh, Jeff. And I hope they gave him some access, knowing that he's leading Cleveland, interviewing this coach now. But anyway, he was there. The Steelers are maybe the greatest football organization ever. I love their style. No drama. They get rid of head case guys, and they win regular season games, Jeff. So as a gambler, we love Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, fantastic play anytime you bet them. Nobody would ever tell you that's a bad bet. So I'm not sure we're going to be betting against them. We're going to really punch the numbers on that season.
All right. Any final thoughts, Pez, before we call it a show?
Well, that's it, Jeff. And, we'll be – the wife wants me to get back on the poker table. So I don't know. We might be talking some more poker as the season comes to an end. She sees the glimmer in my eye, Jeff, from talking gambling a lot. So I don't know. I'm starting to get the itch a little bit, Jeff. We'll see. Might be coming this weekend.
There you go. Keep us up to date. But in the meantime, Pez, enjoy your time in AC, and we will talk next week. Take it easy.
All right. See you.